I wanted to just touch on the Virginia losses. State of Virginia flips every cycle in and off presidential year. They have a weird gubernatorial cycle. But, there's all sorts of thoughts about this. I wanted to talk about the loss in Virginia, critical race theory, and sort of like what is likely to be what we're all going to be subjected to for the next year, which is just these like continued culture war things, but with a smile. Like, don't be as off-putting as Donald Trump. Just say it with a smile, and you can win back some voters and possibly win elections. So anyway, it's gonna be a longer conversation than 3 minutes. But if you had any closing thoughts,
be racist, but be kind while you're being racist. So
basically,
kind racism, pretty oxymoronic, but what are we gonna do? I just want to say this, right? Fascism, essential to fascism, is miseducation. What the ultimate actions one takes for miseducation is to literally control what you read, what the children read. So it's these, and it just shows the hypocrisy of that side of the aisle, concerns about socialism and fascism and communism. And they're the ones literally burning books, right? Literally burning books in the streets. And I'll conclude with this. I fancy myself as being quite well read. I'm currently rereading Du Bois's Black Reconstruction. Read several books. If you guys are followers of this, I throw out some mundane book rec like every other show. Um, this is a blatant tip to control the understanding that we have, that the youth have as a society, in order to keep them ignorant of who we are as a country. Whenever I've taken critical race theory classes, most people actually don't know what it is. It began in law schools. I've literally taken a critical race theory at the University of Chicago course at the University of Chicago Law School. Like I have literally taken the course and studied and read and all those things from where it's the foundations of it. So I actually have a substantial understanding of it, much more than people who deny it, who have no understanding of it. My thing is, I'll say is this: expose me to ideas, reasonable ideas, right? Not those rooted in racism. Expose me to those ideas and allow me to decipher whether they have merit or not. Whenever I hear about critical race theory, and even for those, no one has any beef with yet, somebody needs to understand it. But whenever I hear about things like that, I always say, well, number one, what is it? But beyond that, is it true? Right? Is it true that America, saying America has racist foundings, America's more than that. But saying that racism is a thread that has ran through American history and continues to run through America, and there is a reason why America exists as it does, and part of that is racism. Is that true or not? And if we can agree that it's true, it's undeniable. Then an understanding of it, you can come at it from progressive or conservative ways. I do not care. You can say it's worth being addressed. It's not worth being addressed. I do not care. Is it true? And what they're trying to do is deny the truth, and that is the epitome of fascism. Enjoy your weekend.
thanks for joining us, Ron. Appreciate it. So I wanted to show this clip, a viral clip, because I think when you look at the results in Virginia, I mean, it's easy to get panicked and easy to blame progressives or blame moderates or blame everybody. But I really think you got to like blame the people who are at fault, which is the conservatives. Like it is large amounts of white people voting against their interest for shitty people. I mean, Glenn Youngkin was a good candidate. Like, cleaned up well, didn't say crazy things. He's also worth like $400 million, which, most of the headlines and stories managed to leave out that this guy's like extremely wealthy venture capitalist. But like, this is what the Virginia Republicans like were doing. And so like, we'll just watch this quick clip.
My children are now in private school and are thriving. We had specifically moved into chased out of LCPS due to the swift and uncompromising political agenda of Superintendents Williams, Ziegler, and the school board that have forced upon us. First, it was in early spring of 2020 when my 6-year-old somberly came to me and asked me if she was born evil because she was a white person, something she learned in a history lesson at school. Then you kept the schools closed for a year and a half despite the science indicating that it was safe for kids to return. And now you've covered up a rape, then arrested, humiliated, and falsely accused her parents of being domestic terrorists. I wish I could return my kids to LCPS. Private school is expensive, and I want my kids to be able to walk home from school with their friends in their own community. I refuse to allow you to destroy our schools. They are not your schools, they are our schools. You all should be ashamed, and you should have the moral courage to admit you are wrong and step down.
So, this is Loudoun County, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, and it's exactly the group that Republicans need to peel back, because that's kind of this squishy group that has swayed between Democrat and Republican in recent elections. But more importantly, for Democrats, progressives, people who actually want to fix real fucking problems and not this bullshit made up astroturf crap like critical race theory, we have to include racism in our analysis of what plagues this fucking country. Everything is racialized. I mean, the outcomes of literally everything has a racial component to it. So if you don't factor racism into your analysis of America, you're not doing a very good job of analyzing anything. And the deal is the argument I would make on this crazy, thing that didn't happen. I mean, I have a 7-year-old. They don't come home. They don't learn that. They don't learn anything relating to white people are evil, or, I mean, it's just not even a thing. This did not happen. This woman's just a liar, and she's mad about a bunch of other stuff and is just blaming it on this. But the deal is while that didn't occur and, she's just making this stuff up, we have to be able to talk about these issues. We have to be able to talk about race. We have to be able to analyze it. And the Republicans have been doing this now and conservatives have been doing this now for 50 years. I mean, this was a tweet thread we did. Lee Atwater once was quoted as saying, "You can't say the N-word," and so, quote, "So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff, and you're getting so abstract. Now you're talking about cutting taxes, economic things, and byproducts of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites." So this has been the playbook for 50 years. I mean, Lee Atwater, this was from an interview in 1981. I turned 40 this year. So, and they were doing this war on drugs, Nixon, a decade before that. So for 50 years, we have been fed these stupid lines about dividing people on the basis of race instead of wrestling with the fact that white families have 12 times the wealth of black families, the fact that we redline, the fact that we had Jim Crow until the 1960s, the fact that we still have horribly unequal schools and vastly unequal amounts of resources. Those are the problems we have to address. If we want to bring down crime, if we want to increase opportunity, if we want to whatever all the milquetoast moderates and liberals want to talk about, the way you fix all this is by addressing these original problems. And guess what? Racism hurts white people too. While you're worried about CRT and this other BS, corporations are robbing you blind and getting whatever they want and fostering more inequality in our system. So, I think for 2022, we got to face this stuff head on. You got to just, we don't need to get into the specifics of what CRT is. We all know now what CRT means. It's just dog whistles, and it's just using race to galvanize white people to vote against their own interests. And as a white person and fellow white folks, you just need to stop this shit. You're just wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Racism's real. Reverse racism's not. CRT, even the way the right means it, is fine. Like, it's not going to hurt our country to learn about racism. We'll be fine. And so, and then, I mean, the real thing Democrats need to do is actually keep their promises and fix real problems. Like, so to their core constituencies, they need to deliver, you know, like, that's just it. Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.